Ann Arbor, Michigan. Joe, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Michael, you would go absolutely stir-crazy if you didn't live in such a liberal town. I moved from Ann Arbor, which is like mini Leningrad, to a little village called Dexter, about 10 miles west. And I go to Ann Arbor daily. It's like going to a trip to the zoo. I see the freak show.
Yeah.
And
yes. You have to look at the Obama bumper sticker, Prius driving freak liars, hypocrites from hell.
I saw a bumper sticker the other day that said, "I'm already against the next war."
That's nice. Yeah, they're already against everything, aren't they? Except, well, let's leave it at that. Look, the fact of the matter is, I have people say to me, why do you live in such a liberal city if you have such distemper with it? And I say, I am reminded of what Voltaire, the great French writer, said, is that he lives in Paris in order to document their foibles. In other words, how could he write about the foibles of the Parisian of his time if he didn't live around them?
Exactly. Cannon fodder.
Well, I wouldn't say cannon fodder. I'd say grist for the mill.
Well, there you go.
Enjoy Ann Arbor. Go have a double Frappuccino espresso with beans raised at 4,600 feet with distilled water and cows that are raised on the moon. You ever hear them go into a coffee shop? It's not like your father says, give me a cup of coffee. Have you ever heard these people, how sick they are when it comes to a coffee? I'll take a double espresso latte, frappuccino with distilled water with cows that are raised by organic goats in heaven. And on that side, I mean, I've never heard anything like this. Never. It's San Francisco to a T, which is why I love it so much. But here we are near July 4th already. And we got the Chinese restaurant story, the Japanese, the Thai. And, you could say no goo if you want. You say no oil and no sugar. But you know what you get instead. You get the horse glue. If you say you don't want no oil, you know what you get in the dish instead. Extracted hoof from like a slaughterhouse horse is what they give you if you're not careful. You got to be careful, too, what you say. Because they're controlling what's going in your mouth. You say, low oil. Okay, we'll give them low oil. Get the shoe glue from the dead horse in the back. Kansas City, Mike, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Hey, Mike, I hear you asking if you complain too much, and I've been making an observation for some time now that really bothers me, and I just was wondering if you've made it too. I walk into an Asian restaurant, and I can always tell a table full of liberals, even before they even utter a single word about the woes of the world and how terrible it is that people have the right to be miserable. But they'll order their food, and then they'll ask the waiter, who probably grew up in America and has never even been to China. They'll ask him, how do I say that in Chinese?
Oh, God. Oh, to show that they're in solidarity with the immigrant. I love that.
Then they'll get their chopsticks, and because they'll have to ask for them because the flatware.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's to show that they're politically able to use chopsticks.
Yeah. So then they get out their chopsticks and they rub them together to try to take off all the splinters and everything.
Yes.
I've never actually seen an Asian do that.
Yeah, even though I've never seen a splinter on a chopstick. They heard about it in 1971.
Yeah. And so then, while they're doing this, they're completely oblivious to the fact that there's a table full of staff from the restaurant sitting there and using forks to eat their lunch. Meanwhile, the waiters...
But you must live near a university town for this to be going on. These are classic university behaviors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the waiters, the only reason why they're speaking Chinese is because they're mocking these liberal dummies because they look like little kids because they're dropping food all over themselves and the table and the floor because they don't know how to use the chopsticks.
And the waiters are laughing about them and goofing on them in Chinese.
It makes me so disgusted. It's just disgusting.
Well, but look, Mike, you got to do what the last caller said. You just got to go there and watch the human comedy. I mean, liberals are the most laughable subpopulation in America. They don't understand it, but everyone else is laughing at them. They're social freaks because of their hypocrisy and their childishness.
Yeah, you were talking about how they talk about politics.
But your people over there, the libs in Kansas City in a Chinese restaurant, do they generally bow when they walk in? Don't they give a short little bow and their hands together?
I've actually seen that once.
Only once. How about when the waiter gives them a glass of water? Do they all say thank you 50 times for the glass of water?
Oh, yeah, but not only that, they have to have hot oolong tea on a 110-degree August day.
Oh, well, that's appropriate. What about the napkin? When the waiter gives them the napkin, don't they all bow and say thank you 50 times? Oh, thank you. Oh, so everything the waiter does, they give him a thank you. And when they pay, they say thank you to the owner of the restaurant. Instead of the owner saying thank you to them for the business, they thank him for letting them in the restaurant. How about that one?
Well, Michael, the last time this happened, it was a date, and this guy was doing it to show off to his date. And at the end of the meal, after having to watch this and listen to his rhetoric and how happy he was about all the politics and everything that's going on, even though he seems to understand politics, but he can't even use a pair of chopsticks. After the meal was done, we both went up to the cashier to get to pay for our meal at the end. And I asked him. He didn't know. He didn't know that I knew the owner, and I've known him for years. But I asked him how he liked the restaurant, and he said, "Oh, it's great." And I said, it used to be smoking, but it's not anymore. And I said, so they didn't actually have to participate in the smoking ban. And I said, it's a good thing that smoking ban finally went through, huh? And he said, yeah, I voted for that. And I was like, yeah, I figured that. Well, I find your speech as offensive as you found people smoke. I don't want to listen to your political rhetoric when I'm eating my meal.
Oh, really? And what did the guy say to that?
He just sat there and stared at me. And I was just like, whatever, paid my meal and went out.
Here's the last question of the day. Ask your friends in the Chinese restaurant what % of the bill is tipped by liberals. What % tip they leave?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I heard you say that once, and I asked them that because I was curious. And, yeah, they're pretty stingy.
Usually libs give a maximum of 8 or 9%. That's if they're not caught, if they don't run out of the restaurant entirely and leave it to somebody else.
Yeah.
They're the worst tippers in America are the ones who are the most socially progressive. They're the biggest cheats in the country. But that's neither here nor there. We got bigger problems than that. Latest came out is the president, so-called, of Honduras, who the people threw out because he was a bum and a dictator, who Chavez supports, who Obama supports, who Hillary supports, who Castro supports. That president, that man that our president supports, has just been linked to drug ties. Figure it all out. I'll be right back.
Savage.